What's going on, everybody? This is Owen from Owen's Rock and Metal Podcast. Welcome in today to episode number 41 of the program. Today is a very special episode. I'm joined today by the bassist for the band Feel. Band Feel is one of the great up-and-coming rock bands on the scene right now. I've covered them several times on the show. I've had the pleasure of seeing them multiple times. Had a chance to meet my guest today after the shows multiple times, get to know him a little bit. Of course, today my guest is Kadin Rea from the band Feel. Kadin,
What's
thank you
up?
for today. How are you doing today on this October night?
I'm good, man. It's super rainy where I'm at, so it's been kind of a gloomy day, but
Yeah,
it's been good, man. It's been good just kind
yeah.
of chilling off the road for a little bit. So, how are you?
I'm doing good. It is also rainy where I'm at.
Is it?
Getting through the slog of the week, but we're crushing it.
It's hump day. We're good. We're coming up on Thursday, Friday.
Thursday, Friday's Halloween, so I'm getting some pieces to my costume tomorrow. So
What are you gonna be?
I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be Tony Soprano. This will probably come out after Halloween, so I'm gonna be Tony Soprano. I'm gonna go
Okay.
for the. I got a bald cap with the hair on the back coming.
Yes.
I'm gonna put that on, and I'm gonna wear a bathrobe and have the orange juice. I don't know if
Yes, dude.
that's, that's what
Dude, I'm a big Halloween guy, so I'm all about it, dude.
okay.
I'm gonna be Prince Charming, I believe. I think is what I'm gonna be.
You're going as okay,
I think
okay.
so. Yeah. Still got to figure it out, but
Yeah, we got a couple days, and as you mentioned, you guys are taking a break from. You got a little pause in your touring right now.
yeah, we're doing it's like a 2 week on touring, 2 week off schedule. So it's just like a nice balance. So right now we're off until I think our next show's November 4th in
Okay.
Mississippi. So we'll be doing that. I think the 4th until the 16th, and then we're off for the last 2 weeks, and we'll do the same thing for December. So
Nice.
yeah.
Well, talking about sort of the band Feel, your band.
Mhm.
Uh, you guys reached a big milestone recently. You celebrated a 1 year anniversary of your debut EP.
Crazy. I can't believe
Uh,
it's been that long.
yeah, I remember feeling the anticipation for that to be released. It was last October. I think it was the 25th, and
Yes.
what I do at work on Fridays, I like to download different music. That's when a lot of new music comes out, and I remember wanting to download your EP, listening to it probably 2 or 3 times throughout the work
Yeah.
days, just being really excited. Obviously, some of the songs were already released as singles prior to that,
Mhm.
and just hearing that whole collection of songs, which you guys also put out on your social media. Those songs have also, I believe, reached close to 2 million streams across all platforms, which is a really it's got to be a little bit of a mind boggling number. So for you, do you ever take time to just step back and think about sort of how far you guys have come in this past year?
Yeah. It's pretty wild hearing those numbers. Those numbers are crazy. Like if you actually think about 2 million people, or 2 million times someone's listening to something. But yeah, it was really hard at first to kind of like step back and like look at like what's actually going on. But now that we get more breaks in between tours and whatnot, that's whenever I can kind of come home and like sit down and really process things. Like whenever you're on the road, it's just everything's a blur. Everything's like one day, is what it feels like to me at least. So whenever I'm home is whenever it actually starts to hit me. And like whenever I'm talking with friends at home, and that's kind of whenever I'm actually able to sit down in my thoughts. But whenever I'm on the road, dude, it's just I can't even think about it. You're just thinking about when I'm going to sleep next, pretty much. So
Right. Yeah. A lot of go, go, go for sure.
yeah.
So if you could, we're kind of in one of those break periods for you,
Hmm.
as kind of touched on. If you had to put this past year with all the touring and, you released a second EP, which goes flying across the screen there, how would you describe this past year in a word if you had to, or what sort of, comes to mind with sort of, you mentioned it's just been a crazy kind of blur. How would you
Yeah.
kind of describe that?
Um, for me personally, um, I would say super like sporadic. Like it was I kind of got thrown into the whole thing. My first show was July 4th of last year. So not this year, but 2024. And I played a couple shows with them, and then immediately after that, like we just hopped on a 9 week tour with Dirty Honey. So it
Yeah.
was like immediately was just in there. So it was very sporadic and random. But as time goes on, it's become more and more rewarding just like seeing people come to the shows and they know the lyrics and like that's all that stuff's really cool to me. Or people who come to like multiple shows. Like I think I've seen you like 3 or 4 times, right? Like that's super cool, man. Like that's awesome. So we have one fan, her and her husband have been to I think 45 shows, which
I
is
I met these people.
I'm sure you did probably at every single show that you were at.
I met him at the last show. So I was at the previous show, at Scully's. This was in September, I think, and this was the second show at Scully's. And they were in front of us. They
Yeah.
were right in front of the stage, and they had said, "Oh, we've seen them this many times." And my first thought was, "A bunch of people have jobs," but I guess not. Before
Dude, I'm wondering the same thing. I'm like, how the heck?
they had said this was their first show in Ohio, so I was like, because I had
That's
said,
shocking.
I was kind of be like, oh, this is my third time seeing this
Yeah.
band, trying to kind of flex on everybody a little bit. And they were like, oh, we've seen it 40 whatever times. And I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, no need to like be down like that.
The big leagues are here.
Yeah. So, maybe that'll be me in my old age, just following band.
I hope so, dude. I love
Yeah.
seeing you at shows, man. I love chit chatting afterwards too, or whenever I'm
Well,
coming out of the bathroom. That tends to be a good time to chit chat.
it did happen. Yeah.
I was in Lakewood, right?
Lakewood, yeah, you were coming down that long hallway, and I thought, wait a minute, I recognize this guy,
I
and I
recognized you too.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was crazy to me, though, because we drove. It was me and my friends, John and Roberto. Both of them have been on the show before. We drove 3 hours to make it to that show. So that whole like pre-show and then driving back, it was
Yeah.
talking about. We were just, I can't believe he recognized you from like my podcast,
My goodness.
it's definitely funny for me too to kind of you know have that relationship and just kind of talk to you guys. And most
Mhm.
of I've talked about this on the show before, but most of the bands I follow, they're bigger and they're not as accessible, which
Yeah.
creates less of a relationship with the artist. And it's
Yeah.
definitely something I really enjoy, having that connection. And you're not done seeing me yet. I did recently buy tickets to the Newport show, so
Let's
I will be
go.
the trip down. So we'll be there for sure,
Dude,
and we'll have to catch up again. But
that one's
how,
gonna be a fun one.
yeah, you mentioned that one previously to me at the last show. You said, "Oh, are you coming to the Newport show?" And I said, "Well, I didn't know there was a Newport show, but I am now." So
Yeah.
trying to rally up the gang and go to another
Yeah.
band.
We have an artist named Pearl opening up for us. I don't know if you know her or not.
I'm not
Um
there now.
you gotta check her out, man. She's got some good stuff going on right now. I think right now, currently, she's opening up for Marcus King, which is crazy. She's got a great voice and a great band, so I'm really excited. She's gonna be on like the second half of the December run, so should
Nice.
be that Newport show, I believe. Um, and then that venue is gonna be cool too. It's like an old church.
Yeah, I think I saw that online. So definitely going to be a cool experience. Looking forward to that one, and we'll definitely cover it on Owen's Rock and Metal podcast.
Heck yeah, dude.
But talking about sort of you now outside of the context of the band Feel, where does your sort of story with music begin? When did you start
Mm,
playing music? What's your origin story as a musician?
yeah. I started. I picked up bass. Well, I guess if you really want to go back, um, I played piano whenever I was like in kindergarten. So like I took lessons and everything, and I was doing okay, I guess, back then. And then I just like left music for a long time. And then in fourth grade is whenever I picked up the bass. I think the reason was because my band at school, so like the school band, um, they were needing a bass player because the person above me was graduating into like middle school or whatever. So I was like, oh, I can do that, you know. So I got a bass and started playing along with them, and then it was fun, but it didn't really like strike me as like a thing I really wanted to do until I started learning like my favorite songs. You know, like whenever I learned like the Crazy Train bass line, which is so simple, but Um, I felt awesome. And then I saw a band called Muse. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Yeah, I know a
Love
little Muse.
Muse.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were like the first band I fell in love with. And that was like 6th grade is whenever that happened. Um, and I got tickets to see them in Chicago for Christmas, January 13th of 2016.
Wow. Remember everything.
Dude, it was special. It was a special night for me. And that was the show where I was like in the audience and I was like, this is what I want to do with my life. Like, this is cool. So, my dad took me there. And it was just a great time. So that's kind of like the origin story of
Yeah.
how I got started and then like what ignited my passion to do it like as a career. So it was pretty early on compared to what most people, figure out what they want to do. So I've been blessed that way to know exactly what I wanted to do for a long time.
Right.
So
Yeah, you got an early jump on it. When you started saying, "Oh, I took a break from kindergarten and then fourth grade, I got back in." Like, all right, we're really starting early here. Well, you mentioned, you know, so bass was kind of always what you were going to do. I know, there's kind of the old joke they make the worst guitar player go play. But no, you were a bassist through and through, and you touched on Crazy Train and Muse having big influences on you. Are there any other sort of influences that you kind of listened to when you were younger that you try to maybe emulate in your playing now, or that really kind of got you
Hmm.
into outside of Muse?
I would say outside of Muse, like the first bass player that like I really loved learning his stuff and like trying to play like him was John Paul Jones. He was like the one that I was like diving into. Um, Not as much as Muse at first, but and then, the older I get, the more and more I love his stuff and you just catch things and whatnot. And then from there you can, go to like the more niche basis like Victor Wooten. Like he's like a bass player, where it's like the average person may not know who he is, but like if you're a bassist and you see him play, you're like, "Oh my god."
Re-
S
Real
so
recognizes real. Yeah.
yeah, seriously, yeah, so he was another one that, um, I really loved his playing style, but obviously way different than what I'm doing in this group. He's more like dude, he's like fusion and funk and like all these cool things. And then recently I know I'm kind of late to the game on this one, but I've been trying to get into some more Jocko stuff. He's incredible and he's kind of known as like the Hendrix of bass. Um, but no, his stuff is incredible. He plays a fretless, so it's kind of making me want to get a fretless right now, but we'll see.
No.
So
Well, that's cool. So then, talking more about your early days in music, when did you? So you talked about playing in a school band. When did you sort of become a part of your first like rock band? Like, did you
yeah,
have that in school? Were there friends of yours who you just started playing in a garage? How did you get involved with
yeah.
playing in a band like you are?
Um, Well, I did a one-off gig with my buddy James, who actually lives in Dayton now. So Ohio.
So that's where I'm at.
Shout out. And he had it was a metal band called In the Basement, and I was in 6th grade, and he was like a sophomore in high school, I think, something like that. So like a big age gap. And he was playing like crazy like time signature stuff, like 5/4 to 4/4, and then with quarter note triplets and everything. And so my first experience with a band was like really hard. I was like grinding in my bedroom trying to figure it out. And but that was just a one-off gig. But my first like real band that I was a part of, like I was like a member of, um, was a group called The Strangers. Um, and I joined them whenever I was 14, I believe. And it was two friends at my high school who were 2 grades above me. And I didn't really know them at the time. I knew that they played music. But they DM'd me on Instagram and they basically just asked, "Hey, you like rock and roll?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." So then we hung out and started playing, and then Yeah, from there, we released, one EP, um, and then we actually, within that timeline, our old drummer passed away, but so we used his drum tracks from, like, demos and whatnot, um, and we put them on the actual album.
Okay.
So it kinda sounds a little wonky because they were just, like, demo tracks or whatever, and
Right.
then from that release, we then went on to join, like, this Battle of the Bands thing, in 2022, and we ended up winning it, and the finals were, at the Troubadour in LA.
Okay.
So we gotta play there whenever I was, like, I think it was 18, which is crazy, and
Wow.
then we won the finals, and then we played Louder Than Life in Louisville. So it was, like, all in a very short amount of time, and I was very young for that stuff, so I didn't really fully grasp what it all meant.
Yeah.
But that was all with my first band, and then things just kinda, like, fell apart from there, like, people were going their own ways, doing their own projects and whatnot, um, and then Feel picked me up, just a year and a half ago. So, um, yeah, that was, like, my first real, like, member experience, so
Right.
it was a really good one.
Yeah, that sounds like quite the meteoric rise to be playing, with people from your school to Louder Than Life
It
in,
was crazy, man.
a short time like that. And
We
and
had,
so
like
young too.
Say what?
So young, and you were 18 playing,
Yeah, it was wild, dude. We had, like, the whole town support. I grew up in Santa Claus, Indiana, which is like a 3,000 person town. So for that whole competition, we had like everybody in the whole town voting. So it was really cool to like get like a small town support behind us, and that's what kind of really made things possible for us. So not the typical story of how bands develop and whatnot and how they go about things, but
Right. Definitely a neat story. I'm always interested in how people get involved. I play a little music myself, and my friend
yeah,
and I tried to start a band, and it's never really gotten off the ground, but we always wonder, how do people do this? And I guess it's sometimes just who you know, and it just
it's
sort of
tough,
comes.
dude. It's
Yeah,
tough.
it's tricky. We've come to that conclusion for sure, but maybe someday. But so then you mentioned, sort of back to your sort of story there, you go from being in your first band, and then the band Feel picks you up. Between that year and a half gap, or however long it was, were
Mhm.
you anything? How were you staying active in music? Were you just working a job? Were you in school? How did they find you? How did you get to be where you are now?
Yeah. So, I was actually a part of like a side project from the Strangers that kind of stemmed off. So I was playing with them, and we were just going through like different lineup changes, and things just really weren't like working out the best. So I was kind of down about it, and then Tyler DM'd me on Instagram, um, and he's the one who asked me if I could like fill in for a few gigs or whatnot. And I guess I should say this. Um, Before any traction for like Feel what was going on, like this is back in like 2022, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, my band, The Strangers, and Feel were gonna do a show together.
Oh wow.
We were gonna do one in St. Louis where we opened up for them, and then
Mhm.
they were gonna come to Indiana and open up for us. So it was kinda like a trade-off. So that's
Yeah.
kinda how we knew of each other, and that's whenever I became, like, a big fan of their work and everything. So that's kinda how we were aware, and I think that's how Tyler knew me and TJ and all of them. So, yeah, so that's kinda how the connection was made, but
Nice.
yeah.
Well, like we've kind of talked about, I'm sure that'll be a big theme. And a lot of people's story for starting a band, it's not who you know, or it's not what you know, it's who you know, and it's those
Mhm.
relationships, and you never know when those are going to come back to be a part of, your experience, and wherever those roads can lead. So you're in the band Feel now. You said your first gig with them was last July of
July
2024.
4th, yeah.
July 4th. So that's an easy day to remember for you.
Yes.
Uh, you've been with the band now for, over a year. You've been putting out multiple EPs. You've been playing shows all over the country. I want to talk about some of these EPs, that you've put out, and some of this material in terms of the writing process, since you came in as a later addition, were these songs already written and it was kind of, hey, here's what you play, or what was your creative input on some of these tracks?
Yeah, so, a lot of the songs were already written, and then they had bass lines to them and everything, but luckily they were very open about, like, "This is what we got, but, like, if you have, like, your own twist on it, as long as it's not, like, completely changing the sound of the song, like, feel free to, like, be you on the record." So, it was very nice. I didn't feel like I had to play note for note what they already had written, um so I would say I think the whole first record was already written, and then most of the second record was already written. The only song I think on the second record that I had like any sort of footprint on whenever it came to like writing my parts like from the ground up
Sure.
would be Icarus because we
Okay.
wrote that one pretty recently compared to the recording date. So that was like my first song where I gotta like be a part of that, process fully.
Yeah. So
So
talk more about that sort of songwriting
yeah.
process, even if it has limited, if you have limited experience with it in this group. What is your process like as a musician, and then what is the band's process like? How do those interact? Do you guys write then come together? Do you all sit in a room for a weekend and try to jam out some tunes? How does that work?
Mm. Yeah, so I guess it's a little bit of both, but the main thing that we do, it's mainly Tyler and Garrett are the main writers. And Tyler will come to the group with, different riffs and like a structure, like a loose structure. And then Garrett will write on top of that and then throw in his ideas of like, what if we go here with it, or and then we'll all kind of chime in or whatnot. But whenever Tyler sends that first like demo of like, this is an idea I have going on, the first thing I do is I kind of just listen to it on the loop. And I'll try to listen to what my ear wants to hear whenever it comes to bass lines instead of like immediately, you know, picking up the bass because that tends to be I just play whatever the first thing is that comes to mind, and it's mindless or doesn't lock in with the drums or something. So I really try to like sit back and listen to like the little intricacies and whatnot. And then whenever I have a basic idea, I'll lay it down. Um, but whenever I hear, like, the vocals and the drums on top of it is really whenever it kinda solidifies itself, because 'cause I'll try to, line up my lines with, like, TJ's kick drum or, like, something he's doing, or I'll try to outline, like, a vocal melody that Garrett does that kinda, like, play into it, you know?
Yeah.
I'm kinda playing with that stuff now, but yeah, so and then when it's all said and done, we'll kind of come together as a group and then we'll jam it out. Sometimes it's like during sound check. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's a couple days before we go out on tour. Just kind of depends on how our schedules line up. But for
Right.
the most part, it's we kind of just all do our homework away from each other, and then whenever we come together, we figure out how each one of our pieces fit together and what we need to change in order to make it work. So
Yeah. Yeah. So once you sort of have these songs together, these parts layered in, it sounds like you're kind of going to add your stuff last. You're going to let everything kind of be layered, and then you're gonna throw it in at different increments, maybe. Um, so once this kind of process is worked out, what is going into the studio like? How, do you have like, we're going to go to this studio? Do you try different
mm,
studios? How is that relationship with like a producer? Like how is
yeah,
that experience in the studio for someone who's never been there?
dude, we are so lucky. We have, like, the best producer, like, out there. His name's Paul Moak. He is the guitar player currently for Heart, and, he has a studio in Nashville that we go to called, The Smokestack, and that's where we recorded both of these EPs at, and I'm sure we'll do more in the future with him. But he has a very good ear for knowing when to step in and give his like opinion on something or when to just let us do our thing. He fully trusts us with like sounds that we want to get on the record. Um, but he's also like a really good guide for whenever we need it, but he doesn't overstep. So he plays this like balance game like really well. And then he also has like the most incredible team surrounding him. So each one of them just like makes the whole vibe of the room just so relaxed and easy to be expressive in.
Yeah.
Um, they're all easygoing and very cool people to be around. And his studio is like insane. If you look it up on like Google and stuff, you can see some pictures. But um, he has a really cool like recording room that we play like movies on the screen the entire time,
Nice.
as just like background, kind of visuals or whatnot. But yeah, it's we've been really blessed to have like one producer that we're very happy with.
Right.
So we didn't really go through the whole process of like, this EP will try this guy, this EP will try this guy, and then
Yeah.
they all sound completely different. So yeah, we've been very lucky.
Well, that's awesome to hear, and kind of just hear that sort of. I'm sure it's fun to go into the studio and just put the actual recording or your actual ideas to track and kind of get them tweaked and get those sort of worked on. Of
Totally.
this you've put out so far, do you have a favorite track? Do you have one you like playing live? Do you have one that's kind of your favorite?
That's always tough, man, because it kind of shifts. Um, I don't listen to our music, just whenever I'm not playing it. Um, but whenever I do hear our songs, like if someone's playing it or something, um, my favorite one to listen to. Okay, I'll give you two. I'll give you two. Um, one of them, probably my favorite one, would be Poem 59.
Yes,
Yeah,
love.
I love that one just because it resonates very well with, things I've gone through and I'm sure everyone has gone through. And you can kind of apply that message to many different, things in life. Um, and then the whole production behind it, like we had like a B3 organ that Paul played on it. It's just beautiful. I really feel like that track is like it's it's the closest thing we have to like a perfect track in my opinion. Like all the pieces are there for me. Um, and then my other option would be Shoal Creek.
Yes.
And my main reason for that is because we had our buddy Nathan Aronowitz, also known as Sugar Leg. He played keys on it,
Nice.
and so that whole like middle section is him, and I just love listening to him rip on that dude. Like he is one of the best musicians, if not the that I've met. I just saw him last night. Actually, he was playing in Bloomington
Oh,
at the
nice.
Bluebird with his band, Daniel Donato, and their whole thing is like cosmic country, like psychedelic jam bluegrass kind of thing. So he was just shredding it last night. So it's always good hearing him play. So I think Shoal Creek was another good one, just mainly for that reason.
Yeah, those are definitely. I love all. I love to just put it out there. I like all the music you guys have put out so far. I
Mm,
don't think it's a bad song, but I do notice those songs are both the last song on the EP. So whatever comes next for you guys,
it
future
is,
release,
isn't it?
just come to the last song because I'm assuming
Skip to it.
you know,
Yeah, you don't even need to listen to the rest of it, dude. Just go
everything
last.
else it won't it'll pale in comparison, right?
There you
But
go.
well, recording, writing, all of that is part of it. But obviously, as we've touched on, you're spending a lot of time touring, I imagine. Touring the country. How do you feel about touring? You kind of mentioned you like seeing all these different faces. What are some of the positive aspects of touring outside of these crowds and playing on stage, which a lot of people would love to be in that position.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Dude, there's a lot of positives about touring. You make a lot of memories with just like your friends in the van or whatever. Um, but you meet a lot of cool people that you would never meet. Um, just like either it's like fans that come to like multiple shows, or like different bands that you play with. Um, I love meeting people and making friends in different states or whatnot so I can go visit them or whatever. Um, like for instance, we had our buddy, his name's Sasha Carlson. Um, he has his own project and he opened up for us in LA,
Okay.
and it was such a fun show. But me and him kind of just really clicked as like buds. So this last summer, I flew out to LA for like a full week and just hung out with him. And it's like if I never toured, I would never get to meet him or go to
Yeah,
LA and chill out in California for a little bit. So it's so fun meeting people. That's number one. Number
yeah,
two is I do love seeing like the country and like the different cities, canyons, mountains, beaches. Like we just get to see it all. And
yeah.
most people don't ever really get like see everything. So we're very blessed to be able to do that. Um, so just going to like different states that otherwise I would have no reason to go to. So
Right. And then talking about those places you're going, how is that decided? How is a tour mapped out? Do you guys have input? Is that sort of coming from other people who are, you know,
mhm.
more or less handling you guys? How is that sort of decided, the structure of it all?
Yeah, we do have input on it. And like as far as like whenever we go out and whatnot, or where we want to play and whatnot. But it mainly gets decided by our booking agency. We're signed to UTA, United Talent, and then our agents there will put together a roadmap for the tour, reach out to venues. I don't exactly know all the details on like how that side of things work. But they'll reach out to venues, or venues will reach out to us, and we'll see how it can fit in the tour schedule.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes it works out super well, where it's like things are right in a line. And sometimes it's like, okay, we got to go here and then up here, then back down this way.
Yeah.
So it kind of just depends, on the venue's availability or whatnot.
Yeah.
So
And then so we're talking about venues. Do you have a favorite venue that you've played so far? What sort of traits do you look for in your like ideal venue? Like,
yeah,
could you in a place and say, "Oh, this is going to be a good venue," or do you walk in a place and say, "This is going to be a terrible venue"? Like, how do you evaluate that?
yeah. To answer your first question, I do have a favorite venue that we played. It was
Hmm.
actually in Ohio. We played in Columbus with Dirty Honey at a venue called the Bluestone. I don't know if you're familiar.
I'm a little bit, yes.
Dude, it is insane. It's like an old church
Yep.
that has been renovated into I think it's like an 800 cap room, and there's just like big stained glass along the sides, and there's like a pit that's just like huge, and then there's a whole balcony section. And to answer your question about one of the things I look for um, in good venues, I love it whenever there's just like standing room and there's no seats.
Yeah.
I noticed that whenever we play places and everyone's sitting down or something like that, the energy is kind of like a little too
Mhm.
chill for my
Yeah.
liking. I like people to be into it, moving around a little bit. So whenever there's open, standing room is whenever I know it's going to be a good time. Um, and I'm trying to think. I really love venues with character. So
Yeah.
like, old renovated churches is a big one.
Hmm.
Um, or just super old venues. Um, anything that's not just like a cube, you know what I mean? Like I like those are fun sometimes, but just kind of depends on the crowd. But as far as venues go, if it's standing room and it's got a lot of character, those are probably my two top traits that I look for.
Definitely.
And a good
Well,
green room. A good green
yeah.
room also
There
helps.
you, there you
Yeah.
go. The Bluestone, you mentioned the Bluestone. I was going to see Dirty Honey there 4 years ago, I think, and that was when the pandemic was still a thing,
Uh,
and I had tickets to the show, and I was still in college, and I was like, I was like on winter break, and then classes were coming back, and I didn't have a car, so I was counting on like I was like taking a bus from like Athens, Ohio, where I went to school to like Columbus, and then a friend was gonna meet me, and I was like, I had this whole like crackpot scheme that really, I think it involved me like spending the night at a bus station. It was
oh
like
my
very
gosh.
put together well, but I was like, we gotta go see Dirty Honey at
Did
this
you
like.
do it?
So what happened was they canceled the show because they had COVID or somebody had
Okay.
and they tested positive, so they had to cancel the show. And then I was like, you know what? they were offering refunds. I said, this just isn't going to work. We're going to get refunds and we're not going to go. So I have yet to see Dirty Honey. I know you guys played with them,
Yeah.
I believe, last year. Um, Missed out on that opportunity, but
You got to go
definitely
check them out sometime, though. They're cool, man.
big fans of their music. I've got both of their LPs on vinyl behind me. So definitely big fan of theirs. Just haven't made the trek to see them in person yet, but someday,
Well, if they
someday.
go back to the Bluestone, you got to go check it out, man. It's a cool experience.
It's on my bucket list for sure
Good.
on to get to. But talking about touring, performing, when you get, you're traveling around, I'm assuming via van, and it's kind of old school. You're piling in a van. You're not,
Road dogging it.
yeah, no big fancy bus or anything like that. But when you get to a show or it's show day, what is your sort of itinerary look like?
Yeah, so usually our tour manager Zach will we'll pull up to the venue and then he'll kind of scope out the area, meet the venue people, see if we have any hands to help us out with load in and load out. Um, and then after he kind of evaluates what's going on, he'll come grab us and then we'll unload all of our gear and we'll start staging it on stage. And then from there, we'll just do a sound check. And then after that, we typically have a few hours in between the end of our sound check and set time. So sometimes we'll like go out to eat somewhere if there's a cool, sushi spot around town. We love sushi and poke bowls and all that kind of stuff. So we'll try to find that or ramen. Um, and then we'll come back to the venue and then we'll do the show, man. It's really very laid back. It's not too much to it. Um, yeah, just kind of ABC.
Definitely. Well, it's cool to hear that you get some time to kind of explore these different places that you're at. So you're not just kind of at the venue stuck in there and then you're back going somewhere else. You kind of
Yeah,
get to see, like you mentioned, see these different corners of the country and see these
yeah,
different cultures and places and just experience it because that's like you said, one of the big perks of traveling around and playing.
totally.
Another another question I had about, performing when you got your show, you got the tour lined up, you get into the venue, you do the sound check. When is the set list determined? Do you have like a stock one you're going through? Is it change at every show? I know different bands have different
Yeah.
approaches. What do you guys do?
So I mean, it kind of depends on the tour. Like for this tour, we kind of have a consistent set list, I would say. Um, but our guitar tech likes to get us, uh, he likes to get on us about this one because he needs to know like what order we play songs in for Tyler's pedals and whatnot. And sometimes we're in the green room deciding like 20 minutes before we go on like what order we're gonna do things in, and he's freaking out. So, and then sometimes we have it decided that before we even load in. So, usually we have an idea, we have a rough idea, but there's like a few like songs where we could interchange this or that or move this down here, and then we'll kind of decide on the nitty gritty stuff. We try to do it like an hour at least an hour before we go on.
Nice.
So
So varies from venue to venue, place to place. You're getting this set list together. You're getting the sound check. You're in the green room. You're hanging out. Do you have any, green room asks? I need to have iced tea. I need to have bulk M&Ms. Do you have any like
yeah,
anything
we
you
like green
anything?
M&Ms. That's all we like.
What?
Um, or else we won't go on. Just green
Yeah,
M&Ms.
green
So
M.
no, I'm just kidding. Um, we do like having sugar-free Red Bulls at our disposal. Me and TJ specifically are very much caffeine addicts, so we like having that. Um, I think on our rider now we have Uncrustables,
Nice.
so those are always nice, like as a post gig snack.
Hmm.
Trying to think of what else we have. Oh yeah, we have like a fruit tray on
Ooh,
there. So we try to stay a little healthy.
sure.
Just because, whenever we're on the road, we're stopping at like Love's gas stations and eating whatever fast food chain is linked up to that Love's gas station. So pretty much every day it's like Arby's or Subway or Wendy's or McDonald's. So we
Yeah.
pretty much feel terrible most of the time. So as far as our rider goes, we like to get some fruit on there and some, waters and Gatorade and that kind of stuff.
Definitely, definitely. So, you're getting ready for the show. You're going through it, just kind of working through the day of the show. The opener's playing. Do you get to see much of the opener, or are you kind of just locked in on your own things at that point?
Um, Once again, it kind of depends. It depends on where our green room is mainly. Um,
Okay.
like at Mahal's where you saw us in Cleveland.
Yeah. Yeah.
The green room was on the other side of the building upstairs.
Right.
So it was kind of just like way too far off to like hear them or anything. And if I wanted to see them, I would have to like walk through the bar and like walk through the entrance and everything. So it was just like a lot of different things. But
Yeah.
if the green room's like right behind the stage, sometimes I'll try to like watch the band from like side stage or like behind the stage. That way I'm not like, getting too far out there. Um, but I do love listening to them. We have a
Yeah.
lot of great openers that have played for us. You saw us with Visitor, right? In Columbus.
Yes.
Dude, they killed it, man.
I bought their CD, and it was really cool to learn that they're from Dayton, where I'm from, and I'm like,
Yeah,
this you guys are right in my backyard, and I've never heard of you guys. And then I look
they're
them up on
great.
Instagram, and they've got like 10,000 followers,
Yeah,
and
dude.
schools follow them. I'm like, what have I've been missing out? So I did buy their CD, and I do plan to see them again. So
Yeah.
definitely,
So like they're a
definitely,
good one. We went on a tour with the Retrograde
hmm
and they're really good buds of ours now.
yeah,
But it was always fun watching their set beforehand because they are just like all energy, like party rock band, like hard indie rock. It was so fun watching them bring it and like warm up the crowd, and they were just all over the stage, and they have a lot of charisma. So um, I love bands like that. And then we'll have the complete opposite, where like in Nashville, we had this girl open up for us. Her name's Jess Woodland, and she's more like singer songwriter folk kind of thing. So a complete vibe switch, but it worked really well. And just hearing that side of music is really cool as well. Whenever it's like more low key, more focused on lyrics, and there's like a fiddle player up there. So I love listening to just different bands that we have on.
yeah.
It's super cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you get to kind of experience that and get all these different sort of flavors to
Yeah.
showcase and bring along. And so once the opener's done, and then it's your guys' turn, what is sort of going through your mind when from the time you're going up on stage to throughout the whole show? I'm sure you've been performing for some years now. How like do you still get nerves? Do you what's going through your mind sort of as you're taking the stage and throughout the performance?
Yeah, I definitely do still get nerves. I love it though. I've figured out that whenever there's a show that I don't have nerves for, it typically ends up being like one of my not so great shows. And I feel like it's because I'm too comfortable, or like I kind of lose that edge of like needing to prove myself or something like that. But whenever
Yeah,
there's, I think this is why I love opening slots, is that the crowd's not there for you, and your job is to win them over.
yeah,
So you have like a 45-minute slot to just go all in. Like you don't need a rest, you don't need a break. You're just like rocking the whole time.
right.
Um, so I love doing that, and it's super nerve wracking whenever you have a bunch of people that are going to be staring at you and probably judging you. There's going to be some people who don't like you, and you just have to accept that. Um, but the shows that I'm most nervous for typically end up being the most fun shows and the shows that end up being the best, I have noticed. Um, and sometimes they're the fastest shows that we, as far as tempo
Yeah,
goes, and that's not necessarily good, but we're working on that.
right. So talking about kind of tempo and when you're on stage, what is that sort of communication level like with the guys? Like you'll probably have a set list laid out in front of you, so you know what songs you're playing. But in the context of a song, do you guys have to like you obviously nonverbal communication, but do you give each other a look to know to signal like, hey, going right, or that was good, or is it all just kind of you're in your own sort of space and you've rehearsed it enough that it just sort of flows naturally?
No, there's a lot of nonverbal communication going on, like a lot of looks, um, especially like whenever we're going to like new parts and stuff. But the hardest ones and the most fun ones are like whenever we go into like kind of jam sections that are slightly structured, but not
Yeah,
fully. So it's like we don't know exactly where we're gonna go with it, but we know roughly how long it's gonna be. So like figuring out like if Tyler plays like this lead line, and then I'll like play a different like root note and arpeggio to kind of give it a different context. He may give me a look of like, okay, this is cool. Where are we gonna take this now? You know? So that part is always growing as you just get tighter with, playing with each other, so like me trying to figure out TJ's hits and like what he tends to do, I'm getting, more and more acquainted with that.
yeah,
Um, and same with Tyler with like where he tends to take his lead lines at. So there's a lot of like musical communication as well, which is the harder stuff, but it's also super fun.
right.
And whenever you're all on the same page, it's like otherworldly, man. It's like not even us doing it, you know? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like celestial, like you're saying.
It is,
Definitely,
yeah.
definitely. Well, from an audience perspective, it's great to watch you guys, and you do some of these longer jam sections, and you do the one where you guys come out and you sing the Beatles, and
Yeah,
little
there
help.
you go.
And yeah, that's a great from that live EP. And then you guys, I've had the pleasure of seeing you guys do that live a couple times, which has been really cool just to sort of see it start from just nothing and build into what it builds into. So really enjoy those sort of just free flowing parts of the show. What I'm curious about in your shows is, when are you going to get a mic to sing backup vocals? Is that ever going to come in the future?
Oh man, dude, I've been trying. I've been working on it. I would like to get one. I would like to get a mic maybe sometime in 2026.
Okay.
I think that's gonna be the move. I don't know what it is, dude. Like, I think it's the nerves. So since I'm nervous for these shows, typically, which is a good thing for my performance, but it's not good for vocals because like you're tensed up, you're overthinking
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a not a good, mesh.
Right.
Um, but I'm gonna work on it, and let's say 2026, and I want you to hold me to
We'll keep an eye out for that.
that.
6.
Don't listen too hard though, please.
Definitely. So it's been a pleasure, talking to you today and working and learning more about you and the band and sort of your experience and what you guys go through. I've got several just sort of, casual questions, not
Sorry.
and we got a fire truck going by or something.
Yeah, my bad. I live right next to the road.
Hopefully your building's not on fire or anything
I don't
like
think
that. But
so. I haven't smelled anything just yet, but
we
I'll
get a
let you
camp
know.
from the firemen here.
I
But
gotta. I have to finish the interview first before I
yeah, we got a couple
evacuate.
questions here, just sort of loose, easy going to end it off here. So, for you, do you have a favorite TV show?
Ooh, favorite TV show. Dude, I don't watch a lot of TV to be honest. Growing up, I loved watching Criminal Minds. It was like one of my like the whole true crime
Yeah,
investigation thing that was definitely like at the top of my list.
nice.
I guess recently the show I've been like falling asleep to is Regular Show. I love
I,
Regular Show.
I love
So,
regular show
do you?
too. Yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
I've been watching the Halloween episodes is what I've been
yeah,
trying to do. So I've been
yeah.
trying to get in that spooky season. So, but that's kind of my go-to show as far as falling asleep.
That's awesome. Definitely a fan of that one.
Heck
So,
yeah.
you don't watch a lot of TV. Do you watch movies? Do you have a favorite movie?
The band the band makes fun of me as well because I'm also not very much of a movie guy. I don't watch things really, but I do like watching horror movies. Um, I I'm a fan of that. Um, I'll say the horror movie that like really messed with me the most recently would be have you seen Smile?
I've heard of it. I've seen them do promos for that at like sporting events
Dude,
where they get
yes.
creepy smile.
Yes.
Yeah,
That one messed with me for a good bit. You should
yeah.
you should watch it just because it's spooky season. You should watch it
Well,
tonight, dude.
maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that. So do you have a favorite food?
Ooh, I love any sort of fruit. Um,
Okay,
I'm a huge fruit guy. Fruit and then any sort of breakfast foods as well. To
nice.
get more specific, um, I'll say, dude, in my morning routine, there's nothing that beats like a cup of coffee and a cinnamon roll. That's like
Okay,
that's like my favorite thing in the morning. Like sweet and then bitter. It's the
yeah.
perfect thing. So
Okay, nice. So you're more of a sweet tooth than like a salty and savory kind of guy.
recently I have been, unfortunately. Yeah, I've been eating a lot of candy and a lot of ice cream and I went to Insomnia Cookies 4 times in 1 week last week. So I was just kind of giving them a run for their money.
Well, I'm sure they appreciate your business.
Yep. We'll see if I
Are
end
you?
up there tonight.
Yeah. Are you a big sports fan at all? Do you follow any sports?
Huge sports fan. So I'm a big Colts fan, just being
This
from
is your year.
Indiana. Yeah,
This is your year.
it is
Indiana.
my year. Yeah, it's dude, he's insane. He's insane. We could do a whole podcast thing about that. So there's that. I love just Indiana sports. So IU football and basketball also our year.
You
Um,
guys are
dude, I don't know if you've recognized, but Indiana is kind of on one right now. Like as far as sports go.
the Colts, the Hoosiers.
Dude, and then last season the Pacers were in the finals, and we would have won it if Tyrese didn't tear his was it his ACL? I think
His
is what
Achilles. His
Achilles.
Achilles.
Yeah, okay, so there was
Yeah.
that, and then the Colts are like 7-1 right now. Um, Hoosiers are looking really good in football.
We're undefeated. Kurt Signetti's got them rolling. I'm a
I
big
know
fan too, so I'm aware of everything you're saying. I'm a Steelers fan, and the Colts play the Steelers this
that's this
week.
week,
So
right?
yeah, we'll have to be. We'll have to be on different ends of that matchup there. But I think you guys are probably going to wax us because we're not looking too hot right now. But
It's okay. You guys got Aaron Rodgers. You guys are still kicking.
Aaron
You guys got
Rodgers.
some life.
Yeah, I told him. I told myself if he gets us to the playoffs and we win a playoff game somehow, I'll buy his jersey. But only if that happens. And I don't. That's
I don't know, dude. I feel like every season he's like at the end of it he's always like going into some sort of cave and figuring out if he's going to retire. So you may want to hold off on the jersey.
yeah, yeah. Even if it was just for a year, I still think it's cool that he's playing for the Steelers. And we're not doing the best right now, but I don't think he's the problem. I like Aaron. I
No,
support him.
dude. I was just watching the Colts and Steelers preview video that the NFL dropped. And I think they said that like he had 3 games in a row where he had a 100 plus passer rating. So he's still kicking it. Like even though your team's not winning, they're 0-2 as far as the last 2 weeks, I believe.
Yeah, it's
But
been rough,
but you guys
but
are 4-4, right?
um,
Is that what you guys
they
are?
have, I think they're 4-3.
4-3. Okay,
So they're still first in the division, but I don't know how long it's gonna last. So
it's
I'm
okay.
not optimistic, but
I'm trying to give you some hope, just not this week though.
I appreciate that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think the Colts will probably put up like 600 yards on us
I hope
and
so.
wax
I'm
us. But
sorry, but I really do.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you should. You should root for your teams. But moving on from sports, do you have a favorite season? Summer, winter, fall, spring?
I think fall. I think fall is my favorite season. Um, Mainly just because summer tends to be a little hot for me. And then whenever I can just throw on like a light jacket and, walk around. The only thing I don't like about fall is that the days start to get shorter. Like
Yeah,
I really don't like the sun going down at like 5:30 and stuff like that. But it has
yeah,
Halloween, and as previously mentioned, I'm a big Halloween guy.
yeah.
I'm a big bonfire guy. I love going to bonfires, so it's a perfect season for that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the NFL is on, so football is on. Um,
Yeah.
it's like really just the perfect season for me. So
I'm a fall fan as well. Fall's where it's at. For a lot of the reasons you said,
yeah.
football. The getting dark early sucks. We flipped those clocks back on Sunday, so it's going to be getting dark at like
Oh,
five
okay.
o'clock. but you get an extra hour of sleep. They tell me. I don't know. So,
It doesn't matter,
but
dude.
the hoodies and the weather, those are nice too. So moving on to the next sort of question here, if you were going to a desert island, if you
Boy,
could only pick one album, what album would you take with you?
this question, dude. I feel like I've gotten this question a few different times, and I've never had a good answer for that.
Okay.
Let me think. Let me think here. I think I'm going to take.
If it's easier, I'll give you up to five if you had to take five, so you can kind of get different sounds in there.
Hmm. Okay, I'm definitely gonna take a Muse record, just
Okay.
because of like the whole nostalgia fact, you know.
Right. Right.
Um, so I think I'm gonna go with I think their 2009 record, which had like Uprising and stuff on it, and they also had like a big like orchestral piece on there, United States of Eurasia. So I would definitely take that one. I would take Tyler's been getting me into the Grateful Dead recently.
Okay.
So I'd probably take their live in 1977 Cornell record just because
Nice.
it's more like upbeat and I love hearing their transitions and you never quite know where they're going with things, so it'll kind of keep you on your toes. You take that one. I have to take a Zeppelin record. I have to take a Zeppelin record. So
I was I was gonna ask you your favorite Zeppelin record later, so yeah, I'm
yeah,
assuming whatever you say, that'll knock that question out.
okay. It's kind of hard to not say Zeppelin 4 just because it has track after track after track.
I'm glad you said that because my friend John, who you've met at the shows,
Yeah.
he says Zeppelin 2 is the best, and I kind of hold my ground. I think 4 has a little more dynamic range of sound, but
I mean, they're all great. Like, they're all great, but, like,
that's what we
4
come back.
is undeniable. Like, it's just there's nothing that can beat that. Um, I have to take Dark Side of the Moon.
Okay, nice.
I have to take that one just for, if I'm on a desert island and the sun is setting, that's a perfect album
Yeah,
for that.
yeah.
Um, so what is that? Is that up to, like, 4? I think it's 4.
That's it. You get one more.
One more record. Okay, while I'm thinking, I want you to tell me one of yours at least.
Um,
I'm gonna pull up my
so
phone here.
I'm a big Kiss fan. Kiss is like kind of my
Rest in
muse.
peace, Ace Frehley.
Yeah, we're going to be doing an episode about that, kind of talking about
Mm,
his influence and sort of how I've been a fan. But I would definitely take "Kiss Alive." I think that is,
it's a
a
good
great
one,
live
yeah.
record, lots of energy. Other ones I would consider taking "Master of Puppets" by Metallica. Huge
Ooh,
Metallica fan, love that one. I would also take Led Zeppelin 4 because that one's hard to beat. Those other couple, those are just a few that come to my mind.
yeah, this is tough. It's always the last one that's the toughest, dude.
Yeah,
Um, you could take Rumors if you wanted to. Rumors is a good one.
Fleetwood Mac. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that would be my answer though. Oh, okay. This one is a really good record that is, I think, slept on. Are you familiar with Lord Huron?
I am not.
Okay, so do you know the song "The Night We Met"? Take me back
I
to the night we met.
I don't. Maybe if I heard it, but I
You
don't.
probably would. It
Okay.
was a pretty big song, but his record "Long Lost." It's more like indie, uh, indie folk kind of thing. Like it's definitely like cowboy vibes kind of thing sometimes. So I
Yeah.
would take that record. You should listen to it. It's got a lot of cool transitional tracks and it's just very thematic and it takes you into this world.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think that would be my fifth one, Long Lost by Lord Huron.
I'm writing that down now. I'm gonna
Do
add
it,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. And so those are your five. Taking them Desert Island. All good picks there from you. Moving on. If you talked about the Bluestone being your favorite venue. Do you have a dream venue that's like bucket list? Like I want to play there someday.
A lot of them are just the kind of standard ones. Like I really want to play Red Rocks, of course.
Right.
Um, so that's the common answer. I really want to play the Sphere in Las Vegas. Just the stuff you could do with visuals there is just out of this world.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to play there. I would love to play the Ryman in Nashville. It's like another like old kind of like churchy venue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, those are probably my top three that come to mind right now. Also the Caverns in Tennessee. I think it's Tennessee. Are you familiar with that venue?
I'm not familiar. I think is it the one in a cave? It sounds
Yeah,
like it's
yeah, it's the cave venue.
okay.
So I would love to play in a cave. I think that would be so sick.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely unique for sure.
yeah, really any venue that's like natural or like it's like outdoor in the middle of like a cave or a forest or a canyon or something like that. Like any sort of natural venue is, I want to play a lot of those.
Yeah. Okay, those are all great places, and it would be cool as a fan to go to those and just experience cool venues like that.
Totally.
So if you weren't playing music, you got into music at a young age. So this has kind of always seemed to be your path. If you weren't playing music, what would you be doing for a career?
Okay. If you asked me that today with like my history of playing music, like I would still want to be in music, like as far as like artist relations or like
Okay.
management or something on that side of things, or putting together shows, like being a promoter. I'm actually trying to do some of that in Evansville where I live right now. Um, if you were to ask me completely away from music, um, ooh, whenever I was a kid, I really wanted to be a magician. Is really what I is really what I what I wanted to be. So I'd probably just stick to that path. So the still in the entertainment world. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that would be my answer.
Nice. Well, Caden the Magician, maybe in another life, could have been putting on shows, still in some form of entertainment, though. So you're an entertainer through and through. My last question for you here: What do you have a favorite snack while you're on the road? Favorite road trip snack? Something you're grabbing from the gas station? What are
Mm,
you?
dude, I love Reese's, sorry, Reese's Fast Break.
Okay,
I
yeah,
don't know
the
if you've
bar.
had the Fast Break. Yeah, it's like the bar with like I think it's like the nutmeg in it or something like that, or
Are there,
whatever that. Say what?
are there pretzels in it, or is that something different?
I think I think they do make a Fast Break with pretzels in it. But, the fast break, like the standard one, I don't think has that in it. But no,
Okay,
that's my number 1 pick.
gotcha.
That and then I love just like a Starbucks canned coffee.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, those are my favorites.
Hey, coffee and sweets. We're back to that.
I
That seems
know.
to be your MO. Definitely love Reese's. I was sitting with a girl at work today, and we were just chit chatting about Halloween, and we were talking about candy, and she said, "I don't like Reese's. I don't like peanut butter." I was like, "Well, this are you?" I said, "Are you allergic?" And she said, "No, I just don't like it." I was
Oh,
like,
I'm just crazy.
I'm gonna get out of here now. You're too cappuccino.
I'm gonna leave this conversation.
Time for me to head out. Speaking of heading out, this is going to kind of put a bow on this episode of Owen's Rock and Metal
Good
Podcast.
transition.
Yeah, I've gotten better at that. 41 episodes now
There you
of
go.
doing. So I want to thank Caden for coming on today. He's really been a great guest. It's been really exciting having him on. I've really been looking forward to this. I've been telling everybody, friends and family, hey, I'm interviewing a real rock star. I'm not just talking to
Oh,
my friends.
thanks, dude.
I'm interviewing an actual member of a band, and they're like, "Who? What band?" So just putting the word out there, really trying to do what I can to help you guys get recognized. And I'm really excited about the trajectory of your career. And I want to be there supporting you guys the whole step of the way. So looking forward to seeing you in December in Newport. Going to be there. Bought my ticket last night. So looking forward to that. It's been a pleasure. Do you have any closing remarks, closing statements before we wrap up this episode?
Yeah, dude, I just want to say thanks for having me on, man. Like it's always great talking to you at shows, and like I feel honored that you wanted to talk to me out of all of them. So I really appreciate you for that. I had a great time. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, that's going to do it for this episode of Owen's Rock and Metal Podcast. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Thanks for Caden for joining the show. And best of luck to the band Feel with everything they've got going on with the future. And as always, never stop rocking.